So why don't you tell us what in the world Focus.ceo is and why that name works so well for your mission?
Yeah, well, I discovered a personal growth program when I was 27, and I'm 53 now. And what I got from that was the whole concept of being cause in our own life. Like, you don't have to just respond to what happens. You don't have to just take what happens. You can actually, humans can generate. We have willpower. Animals don't. They can't generate possibility and have a vision for the future, but we can. And so they trained me very deeply in commitment and action and possibility. And I realized over years of working with business owners, the maybe the number one tool we have is the ability to focus on what matters. We don't use it very often, but we have that ability to set goals over 12 months, 3 months, 7 days. We have the ability to say, this morning, I will work on this and I will ignore these 10 other things that would like to get my attention. We have that ability. We don't always do it, but I find when I exercise focus and when my clients exercise focus, two things happen. We tend to get the results we want in a much shorter time period. And secondly, there's a sense of peace and power that we know we are working on the thing that we have said matters most. And that feels really good. Again, we don't do it very often, but it feels really good. And I'm here to be a voice of do that more. You'll thank yourself 6 months from now, 12 months from now, when you have the business you want, when you have the revenue you want, and you have that sense of peace and power.
Let's talk about what it means to focus, what that word means, what it looks like to focus versus you hear so many different points of interest. On one side, people say multitasking does not work. Then you hear people say to-do lists do not work. So, where does that fall into your definition of what focus is and what it means and what it looks like? How do we know we're doing it well and right?
Yeah, well, there's a few questions in there. Let's see if I can
Hmm.
focus on one at a time. So I think to-do lists are great. I can't see any problem with that. In fact, I think it helps to focus the mind. I've got a sheet in front of me, and I wrote down the different tasks that matter to me today and tomorrow. These are the things that are my priority. So that helps my brain. And then I went and put some numbers next to them. I've got a number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when we're done with this call and I'm like, oh, what should I do? That's a real choice point. What should I do? Now, if I don't have this list and I don't have the focus, I might start checking email. I might want to check like what's happening on Facebook. Or, oh, look, I've got some voice messages. So my agenda gets hijacked. That's how you know you're not doing it very well. If you're just scattered going from one thing to another, if you feel you're rushed, like I just noticed, I'm speaking a bit quickly. And so I'm not really breathing very well. So that's a clue. Okay, hang on. Let's slow it down. Let's work out what matters. Right now, what matters is me talking to you, providing value to the listeners. And then after that, I'll pick something on here. Ideally, all right, if I'm at my best, I'll pick something on here. The phone will be on do not disturb mode, and I'll dive in and I'll do what matters to me today. And I've got a couple of things I'd really like to get handled. Now, how you know you're doing it well, I'll list some bullet points, which and by the way, I have a cheat sheet with this. I'm happy to give it away to listeners at the end of this, so they don't have to write everything down. The first thing, do you have crystal clear goals for a 12-month time frame? And are they goals that would have you want to call all of your friends to say, look, this is so cool. I actually did this. Check it out. I hit this goal. That's a great test. Then have you layered your goals? So do you know the 3-month version of that? And I always resist this because my brain's like, oh, God, I don't want to do it. And what if I set the goal and I don't hit it? But it doesn't have to be complex. It could just be, how would I know in 3 months if I'm fully on track to those goals? What are some milestones? And then, do you have every week a very clear action plan? Okay, for the next 7 days, these are my targets. This is what I want to have celebrating at the end of the 7 days. And this is what I will agree not to do. Now that's hard for most people. It's hard for me. I don't want to miss out. And I want to feel busy because I want to feel the adrenaline and the dopamine. So I want to multitask and I want to try and do everything. And it's fun.